Hey friends! Today, I am going to give you information on the United States Clinical Experience, also called USCE, on our website. I'm going to start by talking about the different types of United States clinical experiences and rotations that medical students and overseas physicians undertake. The experience, requirements, financial aspects, and immigration help pertaining to it. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about today is the types of United States clinical experience, aka USCE. This is of three types. The first is called electives. I want to start with the electives. Electives are a type of United States clinical experience in which you have hands-on experience, in which you talk with the patients and examine patients. You put notes in the electronic medical record and you round with your supervising residents and attending physician. During the rounds you will present the case to your attending, have a discussion of the differential diagnosis. You will be taught to think things through to arrive at a diagnosis. Diagnostic workup and treatment options for the patient will be discussed. Oftentimes students will go home and read up on the diagnosis, workup and the treatment of the patient discussed earlier in the day. This is the most important step in the making of a doctor. Our clinical rotations at www.medicalstudentrotations.com heavily emphasizes this aspect. If you are doing surgery rotation, you get to do all the above that you do in a medical elective, and you get to coordinate with the OT and scrub in and participate in the surgery as well. The second type of rotation is observership. Here, you go to the hospital to observe medical care. You get to participate in the rounds and the discussion, but you personally will not be taking a history from the patient or examining the patient. You can attend the conferences, but you don't get to participate in patient care, so you don't have the hands-on experience. In other words, you don't get to examine the patients or write their history or notes in EMR or participate in surgery if you're doing a surgical rotation. So you must have figured out why electives are more important than observership, because of the hands-on clinical experience. The third type of rotation is called an externship. In this type of rotation you get to have some type of hands-on experience which varies from institution to institution based on their policies. In externship you are doing the rotation, but it's kind of in between electives and observership. If you have to participate in one, which one would you choose? Definitely go with the elective. Why? Because electives give you the opportunity to show your clinical skills. To participate in history taking, interacting with the patients, examining the patient, formulating your differential diagnosis, plan of care and management of the patients, and then running it by the attending physician. This gives a lot of autonomy, work exposure, and arriving at the clinical diagnosis and management of the patient under the direct supervision of your attending physician. Once you do this for 4 weeks, you develop a rapport with the attending physician, and since they have seen you work diligently and sincerely, they can write very good letters of recommendations, LORs, for you. Remember, LORs are a very, very important part in the process of application. What foundation is to the house, the same is the importance of LORs to the ERAS application process. Requirements for the USCE. For the electives. I want to start with electives. As I mentioned, in order to be eligible for an elective you have to be a medical student. For the Indian subcontinent, an applicant can do electives even during the internship year or soon upon completing it too. The second requirement is that most schools in the universal state require you to have your USMLE Step 1 before doing your elective. The requirements vary by institutions. Some of our placements in Chicago and elsewhere do not require that. Also, when you are applying for an elective, the schools you are applying to ask you to finish a certain number of years in your school before you're eligible to apply for an elective, so generally speaking you have to have finished few years of your medical education, usually the first 2 years of medical school at the time of application. What about the requirements for observership and externship? Generally they don't require any of the things that I have talked about earlier. They don't require step 1. They don't require you to have finished certain years of your medical school. Again, the requirements vary by the institution and the type of rotation, but the criteria and the requirements for observership and externship are much less strict than the ones for the electives. What else is required? For all these 3 types of clinical rotations you have to submit some forms of immunization, hepatitis tests, and some medical blood tests. Health insurance during your stay in the States, and sometimes they may ask you to provide proof that you can support yourself during your stay in the States for electives. Medical malpractice insurance is also needed in case something happens to the patient as a result of you making a mistake. How can you get this malpractice insurance is either through your own medical school or through the hospital that you're doing the elective, or our organization will provide it to you for a fee. You can also buy your own malpractice insurance from the market. So these in a nutshell are the requirements for universal state clinical experience. Regarding financial aspects of the cost of rotations, it is generally between $1,200 to $2,000 per month. The charges are very institution dependent and hence the variability. Please visit our website www.medicalstudentrotations.com or email/contact us for more details on the same. Immigration aspects. Most medical students come to the universal state on a B1/B2 visitor visa. Please visit our website www.medicalstudentrotations.com or email/contact us for more details on the same.